Hello and welcome to the Knitting Traditions podcast. My name is Inga and this is my little corner on the internet where I talk about my knitting. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back to this channel, and if you're new here, you're very welcome to join in for a little bit of knitty chat. It's the 2nd of October and I was supposed to record last week, but life got in the way, so here we are today. I have several whips to talk about. We started a make-along yesterday, which is you do something crafty, knitting usually, but crochet and any other craft is welcome. So we're going to talk about that today. And I have technically 2 finished objects to show, but I lost one of them. So I have one. And some thrifted knit acquisitions at the end. So get cozy with me. We might be recording this in sections, but today I am trying a new setup with a new camera and new microphone. Courtesy of all of you who watch my channel, I've been able to save up for this, and with the help of those who support me on Ko-Fi, I finally got a setup which hopefully is very good, at least a lot better than my previous setup. So I hope you can see me fine and hear me fine. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this because it's a different setup, but I will figure it out if you see this. So let's get started with what I am wearing. This is my shifty sweater that I knit. It's a pattern from Andrea Mowry. I knit this before she did some modifications to the pattern, so I did have a little bit of issues with the yoke, but I do think she's fixed that now in the updated version. I used the recommended yarn, which is dyed in the wool. What's the name? It's an American brand. It's a color changing yarn, night shade, and I can't remember now. But yes, it's a self-striping kind of yarn, and I don't remember the colorways, but I have talked about this in previous videos, so you're always welcome to go back and check if you are interested in specific names. I haven't worn this a lot because it is not the warmest and it has been a little bit small, but it seems to fit a little bit better now, and we are having a few rare sunny days. So I'm wearing this with a coat and a shawl, and then all nice and toasty for these beautiful fall days. My finished object that I do have to show you is a testknit. This was done last time, but I forgot to show it. It's the skeeter skirt by millahism. Tinks is her handle on Instagram, I believe. I will put it down below in the description box if you press that little arrow looking sign on one of these sides. I knit this in some beautiful linen bamboo blend from the Athenian maker. Ida is a dyer based in Cyprus? Athens? Now all of a sudden I'm a bit unsure. Anyways, she dyes beautiful colorways on a lot of plant-based fibers, protein-based fibers, and this is just stunning. I used 2 skeins of this fingering weight yarn, but I held it double for a DK weight gauge. And this is not for me. As you can see, it's a tiny skirt. I think it's about a 50 centimeters circumference. It fits snugly as intended. And there is an elastic band here, but because this is a plant-based fiber with linen, it is not very stretchy. So there is a little bit of give to the elastic, but the knit stitches kind of limits the stretch. So it's probably going to fit her until maybe next summer as well, because they grow more in height than width at first. and it has a beautiful, very wide style skirt, which are done with increases. And the great thing about this pattern, which I believe is going to be released sometime this week, is that you take whatever yarn you have and you figure out your gauge, and based on that you know how many stitches to cast on, and you start with the band, and then based on the band really you figure out how many stitches you're going to end up with, and you do increases at certain intervals. And there are an option for this kind of big flare and a smaller flare, and you do end up with a lot of stitches after a while. So I would say if you do not enjoy stockinette, it's not a project for you, but if you love that kind of mindless stockinette project, this is for you. There's also an option for pockets. I did not do the pockets for Nelly. She's not at an age where pockets are fun yet. If I were to knit this for me, I would do the pockets, but I would probably knit in a woolly fiber and not a plant-based fiber, just because it is a lot of knitting and my hands prefer animal fibers over plant fibers. But yes, beautiful drape. It's a little bit crinkly because it was in the suitcase, but that will easily go out if I just hang it up for a little bit. So that is a finished object. Another finished object that I don't have here is one of the baby bear balaclavas, or lillebjørn elefantlue, from Knitting for Olive. In the last episode I showed, I think, 5 of them, and I had a green one on the needles, and I finished the green one, but I've been using it. So it is somewhere in one of the diaper bags or one of stroller or in the car. It's somewhere. It's being used. So that is a finished object that maybe I can show you next time. But I do have a new one cast on, so we could transition into the whips, if you will. Now, I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to talk about the makealong, because I did cast on for that as well. So, I am working on what will be my 7th balaclava. The first one I knit was a little bit, you have to read the pattern to figure out the steps with the ears and everything. It's not really hard, but you just have to read the pattern to figure it out. And once I had knit one, I figured why not just keep going and knit all the ones that I'm gonna need for the next few years for her. And then somebody close to us are going to have a baby, and they really wanted a balaclava as well, and they don't know the gender, so they wanted a light brown gender neutral color. And I had this beautiful color in my stash. This is a Sunday yarn and a Filcolana tilia yarn. And this I am carrying as one of those as I knit kind of bags from Jezebel B. She's based in Canada. This is beautiful, beautiful leather, so soft. And now I open the buttons, but it has a button closure, and then you can have it in your arm and knit as you go. You could also fold these in, and it stands like a bucket. So really happy. I bought this 2 years ago, maybe now, 3, along with some leather stitch markers that she makes with leftovers that has it's a circle and a punched out hole, and I love those stitch markers. I have been wanting to purchase some more because something happens to stitch markers. One by one they tend to escape, disappear, or be kidnapped. I don't know, but they do diminish in numbers over time, so that is on my to-do list. But we'll see. It's a bit of a splurge because of shipping and taxes and everything, so one day I will reinvest. And yes, Make along, knit along, crochet along, whatever you want to call it, started yesterday, October 1st, and it is a blanket along that I'm hosting together with woolyknit. Woolyknit supplied yarn for a blanket that I'm going to knit, and they have a coupon code for you that you can use to get yarn from them. The hashtag for this make along is WKxKTBlanketalong. So that stands for woolyknit times knitting traditions, Blanketalong. If you use that hashtag on a photo that you post on Instagram of your whip, it can be a whip that you're coming back to now, it can be a new whip, it can be a finished object that's finished after October 1st. If you use that hashtag, you are eligible to win a coupon for 100 British pounds that you can spend at woolyknit. And it's going to run until the 1st of March, so we have a long time to just craft away in a calm manner, and there's no need that you actually have to finish. It's just to, make a cozy blanket together, something comforting, cozy, warm, squishy, whatever you want it to be, whatever you need it to be. This make along is for you. I think there's enough pressure in the world, so there's no pressure in this make along. It's just for the coziness of it during these fall and winter months. And the coupon code that you can use on woolyknit is eligible until the end of October, and the code is blankets20. That will give you 20% off. At least the aran weight wool. I don't know if it applies to the other weights, but for the aran weights it will apply. And I am using this beautiful, I believe it's undyed white, or like a creamy color. And I have 5 of these cones. They are 500 grams, no, they are 400 grams each in the aran weight. And this is the natural cream colorway. And they also do sell balls of yarn. So this is a 50-gram ball, and for 50 grams you have 77 meters. Now, I cast on yesterday. I purchased this book on eBay maybe 2 years ago after seeing Anna from Brook Willow Knit make a pattern from this book, and I just really wanted that blanket. So I found it on eBay, and I've been waiting for the right time, and I'm going to show you a photo of which I am making. So I am making this fisherman, Afghan fisherman blanket, which is knit in panels. So there are 5 panels that are knit from bottom, and then you knit it very long, and then you sew them together at the end, and then you make tassels. So I started yesterday, 1st of October. I did post on Instagram in my stories, but I had some knitting time in the evening, and this is the center panel. Now, I definitely prefer knitting from charts over written instructions because I am more of a visual learner, and looking at a chart kind of registers in my brain a lot faster than having to read K2, P4, K6, CB, LT, TL. That doesn't really resonate in my brain as well as looking at a chart and seeing some kind of symbol. But I have finished a repeat of this, and I'm probably like halfway soon into my second repeat, and I am going to just try and read what I am doing from looking at my knit and put the pattern aside. I don't enjoy having to look at a pattern too much when I'm knitting. I want it to be a little bit, peaceful, mindfulness. That's what I need in my life right now with all the hormones and things happening. It's nice to have something that calms me. So I am going to try and put the written instructions away and just pluck away at this, and hopefully it's going to fly off the needles. No, it doesn't really have to fly off the needles. I'm just going to enjoy it. It's going to be a blanket which will look really nice in the living room, and it's going to be very warm for those cold winter days that we do get here. Sometimes it's hard to heat up the house, and this is going to be perfect. The pattern calls for US 9mm needles and worsted weight yarn. I'm using aran weight, and I'm using 5mm needles because I don't have 5.25mm needles, and also my 5.5 were on another project which is not going to be done today, so I went for 5mm needles. The yarn on the cone usually looks a little bit thinner, but then as you knit with it, it blooms, and as you wash it, it really blooms. So this is going to fill up very nicely, and it's quite stretchy, so I can block it to be bigger. And if I think that it's not big enough with the 5 sections, because I love a big blanket, I could always just add 2 more panels. So we'll see. I'm just going to knit until I like the length of this. I'm going to ignore the pattern instructions maybe if I think that's too short or too long. And then I'm going to do the other panels, and who knows if this will be done by March 1st. I have a lot of things that I want to knit, and I'm going to enjoy fall fully, but I also have a little bit of Christmas in the back of my mind. I should is the wrong word. I want to knit a few things for gifts. So this is going to be my kind of slow enjoyment project, and I'm really liking how it's looking already, just with this little section. And if I run out of yarn, I know that I can always buy more from their website, because I think this is a natural cream. I don't think there's going to be a lot of color variations if I need to get another lot. But if there is, it's panels, so if some panels are slightly different color, that's fine. I am not picky about that when it comes to a big blanket like this that are panels. Okay, so WKxKTBlanketalong is the hashtag. Any photo of a blanket that has been worked on after October 1st, before March 1st, is eligible to win £100 for the woolyknit store. And yeah, I haven't partnered up with any other for prizes. I don't know if I'm going to have any other prizes, but I think that £100 is a lot of yarn. That is at least a blanket's worth of yarn right there. So that is really nice. So thank you to woolyknit for collaborating with me. And now let's section right into some other whips. Yes, I do have other blanket whips that I thought I could show you if you want some inspiration. I am always working on this forever whip. This is a bunch of garter squares knit in pernille. 30 stitches, 30 garter bumps makes a square for me on, let's see, 3.75mm needles. I crocheted together a bunch of them for a blanket that I use for Nellie's pram. That is my favorite blanket for her. It is wonderful. But I do have a lot more squares, and in my living room I have this beautiful aesthetic pernille basket which has tons of different autumnal, which, you know, sings to my heart, colors that will be more squares in the future. So that is kind of a forever whip that would be perfect for this Blanketalong. Another one that I have is these 4 pillow fronts This is Laura Penrose Stella Quilt Cushion pattern, and I have made 4 of these star patterns, and the plan is to join them together and knit a backing, and it's going to be a baby blanket. I have not gotten around to that, but that is on my to-do list, so maybe this will be done during the Blanketalong. No promises. It might also become pillows if I am too slow, because I am also working on her newer pattern. It's not new anymore, but it's newer. This is the Stella Quilt Blanket, and here she has a lot more options in this pattern, and the squares are bigger for this, and I am being more careful to weave in the ends neatly in the back, because I don't think I'm not going to make a backing. This is just going to be the blanket as intended, and I have finished 2 autumnal looking squares, and in my beautiful poppy bag from the Knitting Swan I have the 3rd one, and I really have nothing left. It's just a little corner and then a million ends to weave in, and then that will be 3 of, is it 15 squares for the big one? We'll see. We'll see. This one is also one of those long-term whips. I'm using single DK weight or fingering weight skeins from my stash that fits into the colors that I like, which, if you haven't guessed by now, are fall colors. And yeah, so it's just living in this bag out in the living room for now. I put on a little faux leather strap, because then I take it as a purse with me sometimes. On road trips is my main knitting time for blankets. I think I'll be bringing my Afghan blanket on the next road trip, but yeah, this is also going to come with me maybe on another one later in October. If you use the code Inga on the Knitting Swan website, you get 10% off, because I'm an affiliate member, and Thao is a wonderful woman, so she deserves all the support in the world. So that is some blanket ideas for knitting. For crochet, I have this thing living in my yarn room, and I have not touched this since before I was pregnant, I think. This is a crocheted blanket that has used minis from an advent in 2019, 2020 from Grenouille company. I was thinking that if Nelly would have been a boy, I would have finished this. I enjoy working on it. I do. I think the colors are beautiful, but it is a superwash base, and I just rather be working on non-superwash. There's something about the feel, and I see that I have more use for very warm blankets where I live. So, but this is not forgotten. It will be worked on at some point. Oh, I found some knitting needles in here. Why are they in there? This is my crochet bucket. I made this. Take the knitting things out. I made this bucket after watching my friend Ivana from the Republic of Me. She had a YouTube video where she showed how she created these beautiful buckets with crochet that looks like knit stitches. So I made this, and I made some smaller ones, and they're just very my aesthetic around the house. And there's also the Dainty Daisy Granule Square blanket. That is a whip of mine that I have, which is somewhere in the house. Probably not going to work on that. It's already looking a little bit small, and maybe I'll finish it for a future child. We'll see. If we have one, or if some family members have one, it'll be done eventually. It's fine. Next, let's see. I have been really focused on one particular whip because it's giving me a lot of joy. You see, this is just a tiny little cuff of a sleeve. All I have left to do is this sleeve and then put everything together. I can show you. So, in my bag from H&M, I have this big whip, and at the bottom just keeps stitch markers and yarn. This is the Favo sweater, which is a pattern by Fiber Tales, Larsen, a fellow podcaster. Really love every pattern that she puts out there. She does not mass produce patterns, but every pattern that she has is very thoughtfully made, very nice details, and I want to make all of them. And this has been on my list for a very long time, and I didn't know what yarn to use. And this yarn was gifted to me from Jenniferknitsla in LA. This is cashmere, 2 strands. One is their pure cashmere and one is their nuvoletta. They look like this. So they're not exactly the same color, but they are quite similar in coloring. And I have finished the back panel and the front panel, which are knit flat. And then I've just seamed the shoulders together, and I have knit the neckline so that I could see if I thought the sleeves were long enough, because they are also knit bottom up and then bound up and seamed onto the body. And this is a drop shoulder, so I wanted to make sure that I had the right length for the arms. I modified the pattern slightly by knitting it longer. So the body dips down in the front center and in the back center. It's going to be more visual when I block it. And this is because the honeycomb brioche on the sides, you basically knit a row. How does that work? So for 2 rows of the center, like stockinette fabric, you have 1 row of brioche. So I did do 6 German short rows on the sides, but I knit, instead of, let's say, knit until the center measures 40 centimeters. That's not the number, but let's say that. Instead, I knit until the side panels measured 40, so quite a lot longer. And that is going to make it not as cropped. I'm quite a tall person, and I don't enjoy when I lift my arms that it rides up so you almost see the bra. So I just wanted to make sure that with a little soon toddler, that it's going to be very functional for my everyday use. And the sun is coming right in. I think I'm going to see if I can fix that, because that's annoying probably for you. Okay, better. I'm sorry if that was annoying for a longer amount of time. I just noticed it when it came directly into my eyeball. So yeah, I did make it longer, and when I knit the neckband, it was really standing up and it wasn't going inwards the way I like my necklines to go. And that might be because of the yarn that I chose, that maybe it is thicker or less drapey on that gauge. I don't know. But what I did is, instead of knitting the neckband on 5.5 millimeter needles, I knitted on 4.5, and I also made sure that I had just, and I didn't pick up 1 by 1 in the front here. I skipped a few stitches to make it a little bit more cinched in the front, because it doesn't matter if it stands more up in the back. And I think it looks a lot neater now. And I finished the first sleeve, That one is knit in the round. It has this beautiful patterning. I really enjoyed knitting the honeycomb brioche, both flat and in the round. It was quite chocolate chip-y, if that is the saying. I really enjoyed it. Now I've cast on the cuff of the second sleeve, and I'm just gonna knit through that, put it all together, and then I hope to be wearing this maybe when I go to Holland, the Netherlands, at the end of November. I'm going to the K2P2 festival in Breda and spending a couple of days in Amsterdam first with my cousin and Nelly. And I've been to Amsterdam once before and I felt the wind was quite chilled. So I think having something really nice and warm like this is going to be perfect. So I do hope to have it finished by then. Lerke from Fiber Tales is also going, so it would be fun to be wearing one of her designs one of the days I'm there. The festival is only on the 23rd of November, Saturday. All tickets are sold out, but if you follow the It Is a Sarah or K2P2 Instagram account, or is it just through her account? Anyway, she does, in one of her posts where she says it's all sold out, refer to a website where people might be selling their ticket if they decide they're not going to go. So maybe you can grab a ticket there. So that is a whip that has been getting most of my knitting time, but I also started a new little colorful out of my comfort zone sweater. Me and Anna from APT Atelier, we both have little girls, almost the same age, and we have both made the Badger and Bloom sweater for ourselves. That's a pattern from Anne Wenzel, a Danish designer. I made mine in Drops Air, and I think she made hers in Plötelopi. And we want to make one for our little girls, so we had a little video chat on Sunday and we both cast on. She cast on in a beautiful cream and brown, and I cast on in this very vibrant color combination picked out by Nelly herself. She was playing with the yarns. Now, I do think I don't know, I really like the orange Drops Air with the Sandnesgarn Koos in this like minty green. I also really like the pink and yellow, but the section here, I don't know, I'm not loving it. But I knit this yoke in an evening in the span of 4 hours. So it is quite a quick knit. This is the 2-year-old size. She's going to be wearing it this winter with the sleeves rolled up. And then I'll probably make more in the future because it is such a quick knit and the color work is just one by one. It's very satisfying. The child's pattern is called Badger Sweater, not Badger and Bloom, that's the adult size. And the smallest size in this pattern is 2-year-old, and I think it runs to 6-year-old. So now I am split for body and sleeves, and I'm just knitting on the body. There's going to be some color work on the bottom as well. I haven't decided which color I'm going to go for. I still have so much left of my first ball of mint. This is the Sandnesgarn Koos in the color 8512. I have 3 of them. That's what the pattern said, I think. Or was it just 2? Anyways, I have 3. I have a lot left of the first one, so I don't know if I'm going to need more than 1. Maybe I'll just need 2. But yeah, it's a really fun, simple, quick pattern. And the colors that I've used for the yoke are different Drops Air colorways. Since last time, I've made a little bit of progress on my Sea Glass Mini that I'm using white Arvetta together with a self-striping sock yarn that is from the stash of a friend of mine, so I don't have the label. I'll put it below if I find the name of it. I have a little bit more to go on the first sleeve, and I'm knitting it on 30 centimeters circular needles. And then I have the second sleeve to go, and that's gonna be it. And it's going to fit with the sleeves rolled up this winter, and then we'll see how long it will last her. These are the two yarns that I'm holding together, and I have probably gonna have quite a bit left of this one, and I have another skein of it as well. So I could make it again, maybe with the darker yarn. It would look very different than with the white. There's a little bit of pooling going on because the self-striping sock yarn does have a little bit of white in it, so maybe I should find something that's not in it, but it has a lot of colors. So I have another blanket. This is the Nellike blanket. It's a free pattern that I found on the hobby website. I have made two in the past, but this is the biggest by far. I am using a self-striping 100% cotton yarn from Alice. This is the Alice Bella Ombre Batik, and I'm using 2 cakes of this, and this is all I have left. And I really do want to knit until the end so that it is symmetrical, because I started with the outer part, knit until I was done, and then I started the center part of the second one, and it would be nice if it kind of ends in the same color shade, but it is a lot of knitting. So I wanted to have this done before Turkey, and then I wanted to have it done while I was in Turkey, and then it's still not done, and now we're going into fall and winter. This is probably just gonna be put aside for next spring and summer, and it's not going to be finished during this Blanketalong, but that is fine. It is huge. It is an adult-sized blanket, really, so I'm in no rush to have this done for Nellie. She has a lot of other blankets, but for next summer, it would be nice to have it finished. The smaller one I left behind in Turkey, because that's really where we use cotton blankets, so it's fine. And I also keep this in another beautiful bag from the Knitting Swan, again with a faux leather strap, because I like to use them as purses. I bring my knitting everywhere because I feel like if I just bring my knitting sometimes, I might jinx it and not get to knit. But if I always have my knitting, then I'm always prepared and I'm not jinxing anything. And my last work in progress that I'm really excited about finishing is this beautiful in and out raglan recipe from Ivana from the Republic of Me. The first sleeve is almost done. I have a second sleeve to go, and the body I think I'm going to be doing twisted stitch cables, like the grey far sweater that I made a few years ago, because it just gets so much wear, and I would love to have a brown turtleneck version of it. So that is it, and this beautiful undyed sheep's wool is a hand spun from Ivana herself. So that I really want to have done because I want to have it in my wardrobe. So 2 brown sweaters that I want to finish, and I'm also going to cast on another one, but I'll talk about that in the next episode. I think we're running out of time, so I'm just going to quickly show you some thrifted knits that I'm very excited about. I managed to find these little Selbu mittens. So I think there are free versions to this pattern probably on Ravelry. Selbu mittens is a very traditional design. These are the kind of thumbless baby mittens that I bought yesterday, and they're already being used because it is almost, well, it was snowing the other day, so it's cold. And I also managed to find this one. This is a petite knit pattern. Is it called the Ingrid sweater? I haven't knitted myself, but it's been on my list, and this color has also been on my list for Nelly. And I found this one in, it looks to be perfect condition, so I bought it to free up my needles a little bit for, it's for me. So now I have a sweater for her. And I also found this retro, I think this is a Fana Genser knit. It's a all over colorwork, traditional looking Norwegian sweater with steeked armholes and like kind of a 90s color vibe. Now this, I could probably force myself into this, so this is probably more of a 10-year-old to 12-year-old child size, or an extra small adult size that would be very slim fit. But yeah, this is going to fit her when she's a bigger child. I just thought it was so nice, and for the price of like one ball of yarn, I got a colorwork sweater in a good condition. So if you ever go to Norway, I do recommend checking out thrift stores because you might be able to find some really good knits there. Yes. So that is that, and other plans that I have is to finish up these sock tubes for some Christmas gifts. All it needs are some toes and heels, so that is definitely doable. I also have my second sock and the self-striping yarn. I should also be able to finish one sock tube and put in some heels. Doable. And then I have the wish to make some more hot water bottle covers for Christmas gifts this year. So I got myself some more hot water bottles, and I have beautiful yarn in my stash, so when I feel the inspiration, I can easily cast on and whip out some of these babies for Christmas. So yeah, I think that is all that I am working on, imminent plans, and just trying to give myself grace and enjoy the craft and the time that I'm in my life. And I hope to record in not too long, and I hope the quality of this video was good, and that the sound works and everything. Let's hope. And feel free to subscribe if you want to see more content, give a thumbs up, leave a comment. They make my day. And for more like day-to-day interactions, follow me on Instagram. I'm in Knitting Traditions on there as well. And yeah, happy making, make what makes you happy, and I will see you soon. Bye!